It is the player ratings then. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Everton 1 at Molineux. Pretty much to sum the game up, first half is a continuation of Watford, utter dross, no midfield, Gbamin looking like he'd never seen a football pitch before, Alex Iwobi walking around doing nothing, defensively an absolute shambles again. Second half, we brought Fabian Delph on and become marginally better, but let's be honest, it was just dross again. Absolute dross. And as I said in the instant match reaction, I'm slowly but surely becoming more and more disconnected with this Everton team as the weeks go on. And I'm finding it harder and harder to care anymore, really. I love this football club with my heart. I've gone since I was a baby, and I'll continue going probably until the day that I die. But I don't think I can watch many more overpaid millionaires who don't give a shit about the club they're playing for. And there's too many of them in our football club. Anyway, let's get into the player ratings. We've had our rants on the instant match reaction. Jordan Pickford, I'm going to give Jordan a 7.5 today, to be honest with you. Again, conceded 2 goals, but was not a fault for either of them, in my opinion. Raul Jimenez's goal was utterly dreadful defending by Ben Godfrey and Mason Holgate. And the first goal, a header, was, again, another set piece conceded, which is just typical Everton, innit? If you look up Everton in the dictionary, you know, the definition is always concede set pieces. I don't think it was a fault. I think he made a couple of really, really big saves in the first half to keep us in it, especially at 0-0 in the opening 5 or 6 minutes. He was called upon 2 or 3 times to make some really, really big saves. Made a couple in the second half as well, which were important. And yeah, again, I don't think you can sit here and put any blame on Jordan Pickford whatsoever today. I really, really don't. I think if you're sitting here putting blame on Jordan Pickford, it's extremely harsh. So Jordan's getting a 7.5. Ben Godfrey at left back. Ben's getting a 3, to be honest. Marginally better than last week against Watford, but still made an absolutely dross mistake to put Wolves 2-0 up. Look, again, cut him some slack. He's playing out of position. The manager confirmed before the game that Luca Dean had felt a little bit of a problem, so he wasn't going to be risked. And we saw Ben Godfrey excel at left back last season under Carlo Ancelotti. He played brilliantly there for 4 or 5 weeks while Luca Dean was out with an injury, and really surprised us all at how good of a defensive player he was there. But this is a different Ben Godfrey we're seeing at the moment. Now, whether that's because he's low on confidence, whether that's because he spent the first couple of weeks of the season out ill and injured, whether that's because he hasn't ever returned to that level of fitness, or whether it's just because maybe he's not as good as last season would have shown. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is, but the Ben Godfrey we saw at centre-back last season who moved to left-back is not the Ben Godfrey we've seen this season. And, you know, again, he hasn't been great. Positionally, he was dreadful at right-back when he had to play there. Centre-back, he hasn't been very good. He was awful last week. And again, ultimately, he's made another big mistake this week. I actually don't think he was too bad going forward. He got forward a couple of times and tried to get balls into the box, tried to dive into the box. The effort was there. You could see the sort of, the idea was there, but it never come to anything. But the mistake for the goal is dross. Absolutely dross. Again, I haven't seen it back. I think Mason Holgate's a fault as well. Some people don't. But ultimately, it's a dreadful back pass by Ben Godfrey. It's an absolutely dreadful back pass by Ben Godfrey. And I don't want to sit here and have a go at him because he is low on confidence and ultimately he's playing out of position. But it was poor today. It was poor. Centre of defence then, Michael Keane. I'm going to give Michael Keane a 5. Individually, I actually don't think he was too bad, to be honest with you. Made a couple of good defensive headers in the second half, made a couple of good defensive blocks as well to get in there, but there was various moments in the game where his positional play was just absolutely dreadful. I've just seen a replay of a chance Wolves had to make it 3-1 in the second half, and Michael Keane is just, it's absolute championship defending. I mean, he is literally completely left for dead in the box. Yeah, I think, again, another set piece conceded. He is the centre-back in that partnership. He is the experienced centre-back. He should be coming and taking control of that situation. He hasn't. So ultimately, yeah, he didn't make any, dreadful mistake, but let's be honest, he didn't have a good game, did he? So he's getting a 5. Mason Holgate next to him, give him a 5 as well. Again, I think that he's partly to blame for the goal. I think he could be a little bit more awake to it. Now, look, obviously it's Ben Godfrey's back pass. It's an awful back pass by Ben Godfrey, and 99.9% of the blame it falls on Ben Godfrey for that. But I just think if Mason's a little bit, more awake, if you like, or a little bit more alert to the situation, he maybe gets there before the attacker. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. Maybe you'll say, Cam, you're just being stupid. You're picking at things. But I just think he could have been a little bit more awake in that situation. And yeah, similar to Michael Keane, a couple of times he was completely left for dead, and you sort of scratching your head thinking, what are you doing? And he wasn't very demanding from set plays either, or from defending set plays. So yeah, he can get a 5 as well. And then Seamus Coleman, 4. Yeah, again, similar to Ben Godfrey in regards to getting forward and having the ideas, but nothing really coming off. The only difference being is Seamus Coleman is known as a forward-thinking fullback, and has been for the majority of his career. Ben Godfrey's a centre-back playing out of position, so there's an excuse there for Ben Godfrey to maybe not have the greatest of cross into the box, or not have the right ideas when getting forward. Seamus Coleman has played there for 10 plus years, still gets the ball to the edge of the box and goes backwards and passes it back into midfield. Yeah, defensively, not great. Certainly not in that first half. I think we were ran ragged in that first half. And going forward, didn't really do anything either, did he? To be honest with you, didn't really do anything. So, yeah, there you go. You can get that same scoreline as well. Into the midfield then, Alan. I'm going to give Alan a 7 today. I thought he was a bit all over the place in the first half, but I think a lot of that was down to the fact Gbamin may as well have been sat next to me, and he was having to cover various different places. I think when Fabian Delph come on in the second half, he sort of calmed it down a little bit. He became a little bit more in control, and he was moving the ball a little bit better. He was winning the ball back, he was moving it forward. He sort of played in an attacking role for the last 15-20 minutes of the game. I don't know why, to be honest with you, but he sort of played in an attacking role. And look, first half I thought he was poor, but once you reflect on the game and you look at it and why, you can sort of tell it was because he was having to cover for Jean-Philippe Gbamin. He worked his arse off, he worked tirelessly, and overall, I thought he had a relatively good game today, so he's getting a 7. Gbamin is getting a 2. Very lucky to get a 2 and not a 1. To be honest with you, the reason he's getting a 2 is because there was one period in the game where I think he bounced one of the Bulls players off the ball and moved it forward. But other than that, as I've said before, this lad is either nowhere near fit enough to be starting games of football in the Premier League, or just nowhere near good enough. And I'm edging towards the latter, to be honest with you. And the reason being is not because I want to shoot him down after one game, or I want to have a go at him, or I'm looking for a scapegoat. But you can be not fit and be second to the ball, or maybe run out of steam, or misplace a pass, or this, that and the other. But his general positional play today looked like he'd never played a game of football in his life. And that might be a confidence thing. That might be because he's been out for 3 years and he's a little bit, maybe, I don't know, trying to get used to it. But it was abysmal. He was absolutely all over the place in that first half. Absolutely all over the gaff. And he formed... He was part and parcel of the reasons to why Wolves found it so easy to get through us. Alan was having to cover for them, so therefore Alan was leaving himself exposed, and Wolves just found it simple to move the ball through our midfield. It was like it wasn't even an effort for them. They just waltzed it forward, got it forward, and it was easy like that, no problem whatsoever. And yeah, I think Jean-Philippe Gbamin is a long way away from being a starting Premier League player for me, which is worrying considering we don't really have anybody else who fits that Decore mould, and we were all sort of hoping that that Gbamin could fit that mould, but no, certainly not for the next however many weeks until he can get his fitness up or improve his positional play, because he was all over the place today. Alex Iwobi, I'm going to give Alex Iwobi a 5. Yeah, scored the goal, which has obviously boosted the score dramatically, to be fair. Good finish as well. Bounced to him and he took it well first time. But for the rest of the game, it was very much a typical vintage Alex Iwobi performance, wasn't it, really? Not really getting involved, not really sprinting back, doing a lot of jogging. When he had the ball, he didn't really do anything with it. It was a period in the second half, actually, for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half, where he actually looked all right. He was picking the ball up, he was moving with it, he was moving at pace, he was passing the ball around, and he looked like he was actually having an impact on the game. But it went from utter dross to that period of 10 or 15 minutes where he looked good. He then scored And somehow, after he scored, he went back to how he was in the first half, which is mad because you'd have thought when he scored he'd have gotten that confidence to go that extra level, but he didn't. And look, again, I don't want to be too picky. He scored the goal today, and maybe some people think he wasn't as bad as I do, but I just think for the money we paid for him and for the opportunities that he's had, he's not showing enough. One goal in however many games and countless performances that have been nothing short of just ghostly is not good enough. So yeah, there you go. You can have a 5 as well, bang average. And then the forward line, Demarai Gray, give him a 6 today. Worked hard, to be fair. Was a near impossible afternoon for Demarai Gray, to be honest with you. There wasn't many balls into the forward line whatsoever. There wasn't much support for the forward line. He was trying to pick out the right pass. He was trying to take his man on a couple of times. It didn't work for him on a couple of occasions, unfortunately enough. On other occasions that'll work for him. He had one where he got in a really good area and he maybe should have shot, but he took an extra touch and it was too heavy. Look, he worked hard. He ran round. He tried his hardest, but it just wasn't his day today, Demarai Gray, so he's getting a 6. Andros Townsend is getting a 7.5. Again, ran round, worked hard, battled, won the ball back, put a couple of really good crosses into the box, put a couple of bad crosses into the box as well, but worked hard, got himself about the pitch. I think him and Alan, other than Fabian Delphi we'll talk about in a moment, I think him and Alan were the standout sort of performers in regards to the players who started, so yeah. Andros Townsend can get a 7.5. And then Richie can get a 6 today. Feel a bit bad for Richie because he was completely and utterly isolated at the top of the pitch. There was nobody to help him. There was nobody to offer him any sort of support. There was nobody to play the ball into him. I don't know why we persisted on playing the ball over the top when Wolves have got about 42,000 centre-backs who are about 33 foot tall. I don't know why we persisted with chipping the ball over to him, expecting him to take it down on his chest, turn around and score when he's being defended by 2-3 big defenders. But we did. And like I said, he got very few opportunities today. Richarlison worked hard like the others did, but wasn't massively in the game. And I don't particularly put that down to him either. Yeah, so there you go. Substitutes then, Fabian Delph is getting a 9 for me. He's my man of the match. In fact, no, he's not getting a 9. That's a little bit too much. He's getting an 8 for me. He come on and ultimately, look, he changed the game. It couldn't have got much worse than the midfield in the first half, but Fabian Delph had a job to do. And ultimately, he come on, he worked hard, he threw a couple of good challenges in, he got the crowd going, he moved the ball forward, he made a couple of good passes, and ultimately he was the reason as to why Everton becomes slightly better in the second half than in the first half, and he was my man of the match for that sole reason. So yeah, Fabian Delph is getting an 8. Solomon Rondon is getting a 5. I don't even know if he touched the ball, to be honest with you. I don't want to give him an NA, because that would be a little bit harsh, but I don't even know if he touched the ball. And Anthony Gordon is getting a 7. Yeah, again, Anthony Gordon, even though Alex Iwobi scored, Anthony Gordon seemed to show more in the 10-15 minute spell that he was on than most of the other players did in the rest of the time that they were on, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how Anthony Gordon isn't starting. I really, really don't know how Anthony Gordon isn't starting, to be honest with you. If I'm Rafa Benitez now, Anthony Gordon is one of the first names on the team sheet. He's got heart, he's got desire, he's got fight, he's got ability. But even if he didn't have as much ability as Alex Iwobi, or I don't know, other players within the squad, Rondon or whoever else, he'll work 10 times as hard as those players will, because he cares 10 times as much as those players do. And I'd rather have him in there with a little bit less ability than the other players than them in there who don't show their ability. And there's even a solid argument to be out there that Anthony Gordon's got more ability than any of the others anyway. So, yeah, I don't know why he isn't given more opportunities. But, I thought he was good when he come on tonight. So, there you go. I'm Rafa Benitez getting a 4 today again for me. Disappointing results. First half was abysmal. Should have changed it after 6 minutes. Should have changed it when they scored the offside goal. Should have knew from that point. I could see from that point Gbamin was nowhere near the pace of the play. But he didn't. He allowed it to go on for the entire first half, and the game was done and dusted by then. I know we come back and we showed a bit of fight, but it was done and dusted by then. And yeah, As I said, we can put as much blame on the manager as we want. We can sit here and poke fingers, but there's a lot of players there that don't deserve to wear that shirt. But we'll still be wearing it next Saturday anyway, or next Sunday, whenever we play, because that's the way football works. So there you go. There's the player ratings. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out the instant match reaction if you haven't already. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.